Can't hear. I can't hear.
Thank you.
Okay, all
Welcome back
right,
to
great.
Business
All
Garden.
right.
Hope you guys are doing well tonight. We got the men in the house tonight: Maxwell, Manuel. Please correct me with names tonight. And Chris. And then we have some familiar people coming in. And I think this is Maxwell's first time. So just hope you guys are doing well. Happy New Year again. In tonight's topic, we're going to talk about what wealth means to you and the different ways that we define wealth, what that means, how that looks, and how we're building it, why we're building it, and how that looks like in our life purpose at this time. So first, let me know how you guys are doing and who you are, why you're here tonight, and then let us hear your own definition of what wealth means to you. Anyone want to go first?
I'll go first. Wealth. My father always tell me right now because I'm in a season where I'm dealing with my health, and just with getting my recovering with mental health, and basically I would say that health. I struggled a lot with what money was. I was kind of had a struggle with money back in the past. I come from a sort of a family that was in poverty, so like when it came to wealth, I always thought wealth was everything that you see on TV. I mean, it was kind of like I had a kind of a narrow-minded view of just what wealth was about, and it was taught to me just what wealth was about. So now, like when it comes to abundance, I
Who?
understand that abundance, wealth, and when
Uh,
it comes to wealth and abundance, it's
yeah, process.
wealth and abundance. It comes to for me. I think wealth has to do with something spiritually. It has to do with something you can't measure. When it comes to me and when it comes to wealth, it's something you can't measure. It's something you can't put in a bank account. It's something you can't put in stocks and funds. Something you can't invest in. It's nothing like that. When it comes to wealth, it has to do with something beyond just industrialized society of just you know making a check and working check to check and stacking up everything and stacking up funds, whatever it may be. So, now I'm starting to learn just from more of an agricultural society and an agricultural thinking that, what I'm saying, I'm a very wealthy man, and I realize, and I'm just like, I mean, in the industrial city, in the city area, there's a lot of wealth that people don't realize because they so caught up in trying to get the next shiny object, the next shiny this, the next shiny that, the next shiny that. I'll just be like, man, I'm a wealthy dude. I got a lot of stuff. And it's just like, there's a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of stuff like when it comes to the system that provides wealth. And I'm just like, wow, it's just like you talk, I know Riley talks about a lot just about sustainability and just the earth and the environment and just just uh just talking about just taking care of the world, just taking care of the earth, taking care of our environment and stuff like that. I think so much in the city area, people they get away from understanding how to take care of the environment, how to take care of just taking care of ourselves, taking care of our bodies, taking care of each other, just caring for each other. You know what I'm saying? And I believe the reason why people have a misunderstanding when it comes to taking care of ourselves as well as taking care of other people, um, in the city areas, especially in the city areas. But I see the understanding that it's a little bit slower in the rural areas. So like people, they get time to actually understand that your wealth is in relationships. Your wealth is in, like I believe Riley said it. I connect. She really she really got me into understanding something now that was I already knew about, but it was like, man, that's really clarifying it. That's really giving me focus on it, is connection. You know, your wealth truly does come from the connection that you have. You know, the more you're connected to the universe, the more wealth you have, regardless of what you see in your bank account.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing your thoughts. My name is pronounced Raileigh, by the way. Yes, same with my story of growing up with this idea of identity, what success was. I thought trying to escape poverty as a child, I thought I had to be a doctor or a lawyer, some type of, identification with money making that will help people. It wasn't until I was in college and almost entering medical school that I realized there are other pathways of healing. That's when I started receiving my soul mission and soul path. And I left medical school route and moved to the mountains of North Carolina to learn how to farm, because I wanted to help people heal in a way that before they came to the doctor's office. And at that time, my family totally disapproved. All my advisors at the time said, I'll never be heard in life. I'll never really make it in life if I did that. And the reason why any young girl, any person, any man too, wants to go into the medical field or be a lawyer is just want to help people. And no one told me growing up that I would be a good business owner or a great writer. But I'm a caregiver. I'm a teacher. I can be a therapist. I can be a doctor. But the root of healing being a profession that can come through many different forms. Healing being the form of relationships, which is the essence of any business. Any true successful business has the ability to connect with an audience in a way that they understand the needs of that audience and that population, those communities. And that's where we see the manipulation, right, of those needs of people. So that's why I'm sharing the topic today about what does wealth mean to us, because we need to see a huge shift in how we identify with wealth so that we have an opportunity to empower ourselves to work in careers or jobs or create businesses for ourselves that are really aligned with soul. So I call it the spiritual entrepreneur, but you could be doing anything. You could be working in any job, but still behind the scenes, you're putting spirit into it. You're putting love into it. And yeah, it can look like farming, can look like being a healer, can look like what Manuel is probably going to share with us next about what he's doing after working in the police work. So those are my thoughts and kind of my background of we need to be having healed relationships. And it's from that relationship with our soul and the divine, ultimately, that's going to be manifested into how successful, what is the quality of the business we're creating. So we'll talk more about that in a second. But Manuel, do you want to speak on what you believe wealth is? How do you define it in today's economy and in this world?
Thank you so much, Rayleigh. And Emmanuel, where you left off was a perfect segment of eternal wealth. One thing I was in communications with really about the medicine garden and just how much it impacted me just seeing the work she's doing. And because I'm one of the person that comes from a career background, going to college, getting my degree in criminal justice to become a deputy. And the time I spent in law enforcement was amazing. But at the same time, you begin to see the truth. And if you're actually going to be honest with yourself, and if you're going to take accountability, what are you going to now do with that truth? A lot of people have to compromise because bills to pay, family to feed, fear of actually letting go and getting a whole new identity because we built our wealth on the external validations of titles, of succeeding in getting these monetary things like money, clothes, jewelry, all these things that was supposed to show us that we had value to the world to show so that we can actually have dignity. And we've seen how so much of us crashed out trying to chase the bag, trying to become something that we were not. And being in law enforcement, I got to see being very spiritual, I got to see how people souls and their bodies from eternal begin to kind of almost twist because they were becoming something that was so misaligned with them at the point where the facade crumbled. They had no type of foundation from within to actually build themselves back up. And that, depending on your ancestry, depending on your bloodline, depending on who surrounds you, depending on your environment, that can be death, that can be jail, that can be, you have a friend, you have a family member who says, I see how far you have fallen, I'm going to pick you back up. You're staying in here. You're not going out there. You're broken right now, and we're going to take care of you. So if you don't have that surrounding, if you don't have that network of eternal wealth of people who understand that love, healing comes from within, that it's not about the external, then you'd be left to the wolves. And there are wolves out there. And so a lot of our youth are naively sent out into the world without a true understanding of what it takes to actually survive in the world. When you don't know how to cook for yourself, when you don't know how to grow your own food, when you don't know how to actually sit with yourself and ultimately heal within. So you actually have the clarity to go out into the world and move properly. And so with that, I realized, hey, you know, as I'm able to actually heal people as I'm speaking to them in my uniform, I can do this full time, because at the same time, I see the system is not really for us. It is for profit. We see there a list of 500,000 kids missing, and yet we're not really doing anything about it. It's like, at what point do we are able to send helicopters and dogs after, you know, the youth running around committing these little burglaries, but we have some hardened criminals who have the wealth, who have the status, who are hiding behind the badge, or who are hiding behind wealth and status? Like, you're compromising a lot of men, and a lot of men had to bend and break. And so that's where you get a lot of men who slowly often, I don't want to get into that word, but we understand it's when we lose ourselves, our dignity. And then at the end of the day, we always have to sit with ourselves. Who did I become at the end of the day? And then if you're a man or woman who can't live with what they become because they compromise themselves for the dollar, for the gold, for the relationship, it's going to be hard to come back. But that's so much shame and guilt. At the end of the day, we're all forgiven, but they need to hear that. They actually need to see it. And so we live in a world that's constantly trying to destroy the next person because someone didn't extend that blessing of forgiveness, of that, you know, lending a hand. So we feel like we must now burn the whole world down. And that's what our youth is growing up with. And so I started an organization, well, not an organization, I started my business called Return to Spirit, which is just allowing people to remember that each one of us have a unique spirit. And so if we're actually able to sit down and actually understand our own chakra system, we're going to see what triggers us, might not trigger the next person. We're going to see our likes and our don't likes are not always the same. And so as we move within harmony within ourselves, we actually find the people who actually are our soul tribe. Sometimes that's not always family, but it will be family based on the spiritual connection. And that runs deeper than blood. So once we understand that, we can always have love and forgiveness for the people who birthed us, who grew up with around us, but then we're actually able to let them go and find those people that actually going to build around. And those when you have the communities where, hey, every man, every woman here, we're family. So if one of us hurt, we all hurt. So you mess with one of our kids, you're going to mess with all of us. And so this is how you keep out those who wouldn't dare to come in some of these communities, because they know they're unified. They're not going to go back to work until they know their children are safe. They're not going to just go back to work knowing that, hey, our water's being poisoned, our food is being poisoned. Let's go handle that first before we go back to just the mundane things. Because we've allowed so many decades to go by that we've been all traumatized, molested, raped, trafficked, whatever it may be, overdosed. And yet those who are truly accountable have been able to escape away. Not because they're hiding, it's because one, we have that resolve within. First, to love ourselves, to want to speak up. We all been damaged. We all hurt someone before. So we can't be afraid of saying, hey, I was once that, but now I'm speaking up because I don't want that to happen to the next generation. And so when we had those type of conversations, whether it was one-on-one or when I maybe were doing Reiki on someone, I allowed them to just let it all out. Because if you're breathing right now, that means God has a purpose for you. I can't throw the purpose within you, but I can give you the word. And then if you're able to take that word, you're able to harness it, and then you're able to use it for yourself. That's where it says faith without works is dead. You must first believe it within yourself. And then from there, you keep moving. And then people are going to see it. Actions will always show. So no matter how much people will not deny your flowers, how much people don't want to actually show you the validation, it's going to be living proof. And that's why you're a man of God. You're a woman of God, because the way you walk, you're creating nothing from something. Not a lot of people can do that. They can only mimic, they can only recreate, they can copy a style, but they cannot create. So when you're able to actually burn and destroy an old paradigm of your life, we're actually able to lose something. And then instead of completely crashing out, you're able to rise back up. And then when you're in your moments of darkness, you didn't become dark. You actually held on to your light. That's power. That's what they want to snuff out. And if they're unable to snuff that out, they can't allow no one else to see that, because then it shows there's proof that God does dwell within. So if we understand that God dwells within, why are we actually teaching the youth? Why aren't we actually learning that nature is a part of us, that we need to actually work in harmony, that is actually take care of it, it speaks to us. And those who don't understand that, you need to get out the way. It gets to a point where a man is going to need to do what he needs to do to control and protect his family. There is violence, so they had to make sure men cannot be men with honor, with love, with dignity, with the Mayat level of understanding women and men are equal. As we work together, we're willing to go out and die for our families. But we must also learn how to shoot. You must learn also how to forage. You must know how to actually control our anger and use it in a precise moment. So once we're able to teach the youth this, then whenever we pass, at least the wisdom is passed on to the next generation. And so that's how we continue. That's how we stay eternal, because we're able to hold on to what's really most valuable. And that's the wealth from within. Because buildings go, whole California is gone. Those homes are gone. How are you going to build again? How did you make your money the first time? Was it honorable? Then you'd be able to recreate it. But if you got it how you live and you got it in a sleazy way, there's only one way to get it again. But now you're going against bigger predators now. So this is now the retribution of how do we come back to our spirits, how we do come back to our families, and then ultimately how we come back to one with self. Because once we love and understand God's within us all, we learn to actually extend that to the next man and woman. We actually learn to forgive and love and move on. And that's pretty much the message of return to spirit. At the same time, I love to sell crystals that I make, and that's a part of the journey I'm on. It's part of my message that I like to show and teach people and let them know I'm a living example that God dwells within. And if you can see it in me, you can see it within you. Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you so much. I want to highlight whoever's listening later, and Maxwell, Chris, Damien, we want to hear from you if you're ready in a moment. If you're listening in, if you're in the cycle where it seems impossible, you can't take a break from where you are, the job you're working, or you're providing for kids, you're working paycheck to paycheck, and it's an endless cycle that you can't seem to take a break from and save enough money and, put that money into school or into creating a business for yourself. And I have to say, as a single and a young woman without any children yet, it was easy for me to leave everything behind and walk away from one life into another. And you don't know there's a new life that can be possible for you until you're welcomed into it, until you walk into it. I didn't know there was a life outside of Daytona Beach, Florida until I went to college. I didn't know there was a life I could live in the mountains, living in these beautiful mountain towns that are in movies and just this romantic life that I was living as a single woman. It was a dream. I was eating such good food and the clean air and the purest water I had in my life. But I went there with my Toyota Camry 2004, balding tires and $200 because that's what I could sacrifice at the time. But as you get older and you have kids, right, it gets harder and harder to extract yourself from the paradigm or the life that you've created to sustain yourself. And that's why it is important that we set time aside to envision, to dream, to pray, to speak with other people, to go on a Google Meet live and hear about the lives that other people are living so you can see that it's possible. Because if that is not envisioned in your mind yet, if you don't know you can enter that kind of life, that world exists yet, then you'll never try. And so if you're watching, and Manuel and Chris, I know you're building things. Damien, I know you want to do the spiritual leadership work as well. The more that you build, can you build enough to where you can hold the capacity to where if someone works with you, you can sustain their whole family? That takes a lot of responsibility and accountability on ourselves to build something that's actually going to fruit and help people's lives. And that is why we hold each other accountable in communities like this online. So if you haven't started yet, if you're watching, if you're in the live with me or you're watching later, it's time to create. The visioning is the first step. Listening to other people's stories, reading the books, traveling. Now it's time to actually, what are you going to build? What is your escape route into a life you truly want to live? And it is possible, no matter how deeply rooted you become, because we're all responsible for creating the life we want our children to live in, that we want to live in. So before I go into the next question about how are we all imagining for in our own lives and all our communities and sectors, what does a sustainable future really truly look like? We talked about farming, right? That's an obvious one, but other ways. But first, Maxwell, Chris, Damien, what are your thoughts about defining what wealth really truly means? Reimagining what wealth is against the culture.
Well,
Oh, go
okay,
ahead.
good. You
Go
know,
ahead.
but wealth was about, the tangible stuff at one time. But I mean, in my evolution, it's become more evident that wealth is the things that we can't grasp. Spirit stuff, spiritual natures, spiritual things that are obvious to me. But anyway, the so I don't know. Wealth is those are. I mean, wealth to me is and any action based in love. And if you can incorporate that in your heart, then that is the if you start incorporating your heart and you project that out to the world, and that makes you a wealthy person. Yeah, from what I've learned on my journey, and so I believe if you connect it, is if with source, it all kind of comes together at some point, and with the monetary and the intangible factors, and when you put all that together, it all coalesces to generate the substance that that provides us. So and that is my mission, since I had a near death experience, and it has changed my focus on life and why I'm here and why I mean just trying to navigate the matrix, or actually navigate my way out of the matrix, and and try to be influential in terms of creating the environment that we need to nurture the intangible aspects of wealth. And so I can't really say a whole lot right now because I got a lot going on. I'm at work at the moment, and it's really off the chain around here, and so I can't get my thoughts together because I gotta pay attention. So I'm gonna end it there and just kind of be listen and learn.
Thank you, Maxwell. And you're not the first person today. I've been on a call with someone who is working somewhere else. I won't tell your boss, but it means you're already in transition out.
Already in what? Say that again.
It means you're already in transition out, whether that's what you want or you're just testing the waters.
Oh yeah, this to let you know, this is the combination of the goal I set for myself after my accident.
Mhm.
The job I'm working now, and it's actually a stepping stone to where I'm going. And it's just like I said, I set a goal and I accomplished it. So now I'm trying to figure out what the next goal is and where how to get there. And just kind of.
And just curious, before we move to Chris, Maxwell, can I ask you, what was the clarity moment you had in your near-death experience?
The clarity moment came the day I was getting discharged from the hospital. Because to be honest with you, I didn't have a traditional kind of where you see the light at the end of the tunnel and all that stuff that you hear a lot of people talk about. I didn't really have any of those things. But what I did have was my revelation came the day I was leaving the hospital. I spent 3 months at Atlanta Medical Center. And 2 of those months I was in a drug-induced coma. And so the day I was going home, I went around to tell everybody thank you for all their participation in my healing treatments and whatnot. And I was so excited, you know, I'm going home. Woo! I can see you later. You didn't get Kevin, but I gotta go see you. And so I got on the elevator, and there was two guys in the elevator, and they were like, "You going home?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I took good care of it, but I gotta go see you." And so the guy was like, "I remember you when you came in here with your basal skull fracture, and just so you know that most people don't make it to the hospital, much less out of the hospital. So you don't know how lucky you are." And my first inclination was okay, guy, what you want me to do? You know. So because he had been calling me before my accident, but the accident I couldn't run anymore. I was in the hospital bed, and I remember just being like, "Okay, guys, you got me here now. You know." So my clarity came when the guy told me that my survival was miraculous, pretty much. Mm.
Mm. Thank you for sharing, Maxwell. I just want to highlight the significance of recognizing when you have a chance in life, another chance at life. And
Yeah.
I want to highlight in the context of this conversation tonight of let us not wait. And I've waited. We all wait until this moment sometimes where we can't take anymore, when we're about to die, when our body breaks down, our mind breaks down, and we're about to end it all, or life is ending it for us, until we make a change and commit to something. But we get so comfortable in the jobs that are, they come naturally to us. Maybe we don't have to think too hard about it. Or maybe it's what our family wants, our community wants, and we work these jobs and we get comfortable and feel safe when something happens and we have to take care of a sick child, or we become sick and we recognize, oh, what if I was building something else in the background, right? So I want to highlight the importance of just the empowerment and the safety that comes with building something behind the scenes. Even if you're working full-time somewhere else right now, you can still be building your life in the future of somewhere else, and it might be able to save your life. It might be able to provide the income you're going to need to take care of a situation. But we get so caught up on life insurance, right? And the system takes all of our money and sells to us fear after fear after fear. But for me personally, and I'm not advocating for this, that everyone does this, but if I spend the same year that I would spend selling in life insurance, and I hermit and I live in a cabin in the woods like I did, not talking to a soul, and I publish 2 books, right? That's income for the rest of my life. I didn't leave the house. Nothing's gonna happen to me. But it's decisions that seem like life or death, but don't wait until the actual life or death moment to actually invest in yourself. But thank you, Maxwell, for sharing that story. And I think a lot of us can resonate with the moment when we really have to make a change. Chris, and then hey, Abai, nice to see you. And please turn your cameras on. We love to see you and to resonate with who you are, what you're doing in the world, right?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you
But
guys hear
maybe
me?
speak
I'm
louder and close to the
okay.
camera.
I am outside, so I was just kind of traveling today. I'm downtown Detroit. We got a nice full moon out here. And in terms of wealth, I think wealth has always been it's been viewed as like money, shiny thing. And what Manuel was saying about kind of being an individual. Like, what is feeding you? What, kind of like we talked last week. Like, what are you really craving? And that's wealth. It could be food. It could be freedom. It could be fun. Um, and Emmanuel was saying something earlier about like the spirit, and I think that can be very true for a lot of us who are kind of we're here for a reason. But a lot of people don't really have that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't really. That's the vibe I kind of get. But for me, wealth is being able to feed yourself, being able to protect yourself, having freedom, being proud of who you are, and that's what it really is to me. And thank you guys for sharing. I can't be on here too long, Ray. I appreciate you, but yeah, I'll be on here for a little bit longer listening. But thank you guys.
Thank you, Chris, for joining us. Thank you for sharing about being proud of ourselves. We talked about soul fulfillment, what that means, and why that's important to raising consciousness on planet Earth. If we're not in alignment with our soul, we're quite literally living a lie. We're living the not truth of what the divine wants for us. And that self-fulfillment is in soul. And I'm encouraging more people to live in that type of joy, to embrace that type of joy, that we're not all just labor slaves, right? And I believe a lot of us are enslaved in consciousness to the idea that we need to break down our body to have a sense of worth or to make money. When you have a vision that is meant to be created, it can be fruit in the earth. So I'm just here to remind all of you and whoever's listening later, if you have a vision that will be manifested in the earth and it will bring you prosperity. And it takes faith. It's going to be a walk. It's going to be a journey to see it unfold. But are you willing to see it unfold? Are you willing to release the attachment of, oh, it's selfish, or the imposter syndrome? Oh, I can't be that vision. It's not for me. It's someone else's dream. Then you end up working for someone else's vision, someone else's dream. And then you can't get upset if you hate where you work or you hate your life and you're choosing that. That's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. I have to swallow that a lot. Damien, Bubble, and then Abai, I would love for you to lead the last conversation of tonight.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, nice to hear you. Are you going to turn your camera on?
I can't. I don't have a camera right now. Like, just because I had to sell my laptop. Like, it's on the topic of wealth. I'm in between jobs right now, so like money is not not there right now. And I was also struggling a few days ago, which it kind of had it was kind of hard, but it reminded me when I was homeless in like the homeless shelter. I kind of realized that even though I didn't have money, I still have myself and my sanity and also my connection to the divine. Even I didn't have food for 3 days, so I was I just said I was fasting and the dreams I had was it was super intense, and it was kind of hard, I'm not gonna lie, especially because I'm kind of I'm in between jobs and I'm trying to figure out do I even want to do the job, or do I put all my energy into I'm learning how to trade stocks and forex, and it's just I'm also asking for guidance, and I went to from job to job, and it's I live out in the countryside, so I have to drive into the city. But then the timing is perfectly off where I can't then leave the city, because then no trains would drive, so I can't have that job. And then so that job says no, I go to the next one. It's I'm just getting no's, and it's dude, I just want to work. And it's but I also don't want to work, so it kind of feels I'm being nudged into redefining what I how I value myself, and what wealth means to me, and how I want to acquire it going on now into this new year. And I guess every time when I think about wealth, for me right now is I don't have money, but I have peace. And I remembered I had money at times, but I didn't have peace, and I was going crazy. And then that's when the drugs would come in and stuff like that. So I'm kind of readjusting myself, and also kind of the desires I also have, because I would also I would have my laptop and I would just game on it and waste so much time. And then when the day came where I was damn, I gotta sell my laptop. Now I'm sitting here, dude, I kind of want to do content. I kind of want to. I have a 4K camera I can't even use. You just see my B out here, and I can't even show my face. And it's a lot of things I took for granted, especially expressing myself in a creative way. I think that's wealth as well. Being able to express yourself, being able to show yourself the way you want to without having to diminish it in a way. And yeah, I'm kind of and freedom is wealth a lot to me right now, because I also want to travel and take care of my health as well. And I don't feel like the place where I'm at right now can like fully do it like how I want to do it, especially with like, again, peace of mind being a huge part of it, not having to worry about the money. So I guess money also ties into the wealth aspect, but I'm also learning like I don't need a lot. And yeah, it's a funny time right now. And I don't know if you guys, maybe I can also add like a little other thing that I'm struggling with right now is like I have this energy and this motivation, but I just don't know exactly where to put it. Like you also mentioned like the leadership thing. Like I also don't know at times if I'm like right for that type of thing, if I even want to do it. Sometimes I just want to sit in my room and not go outside and just like be left alone. You well, I don't know if you remember the first time we had a call, just came off my super strong shroom trip. You said I should come down a little bit because if you go too high, you go to source. And the irony is, like a week before I met you, I had a dream where I was kind of fed up and I just flew into space. And sometimes I hear, I don't know what you want to call it, God, my higher self, told me that I wasn't ready yet, and like pushed me back onto like Earth. And then I woke up and I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do right now. It's like so much energy, so much information I have on like how reality works and also seeing people for what they are. I don't know. It's crazy right now. So that's just my part.
Thank you.
Maybe someone can add to that.
Yeah. First of all, I pray that everything that you need to be nourished tonight and moving forward, that you will receive it, that you'll be put in alignment to the opportunities where you can receive that, and that you continue to be safe and fed in more ways than one. And I want to share just three advice that I hope you write down or listen later. And then I would like Abai to share his thoughts too. One being that if you are a conscious creator, so you're being called to the spiritual path, or just you're creating something, it could be a business, writing a book, just get used to the mindfulness path, meaning that you go within a lot. Being a full-time writer as myself, being someone who shares meditation and prays for people all day, there are days where I don't talk to a soul outside of this computer. I don't speak. I can go days and weeks not doing anything except hiking in nature, walking in nature, being alone. That is so anti-matrix. That is so anti-world, right? Where you're called to go to work, speak to people who you don't even like, 9 to 5, repeat the next day. I don't care how you feel, what you were doing the day before, repeat it, go back to the next day. You're breaking free out of that. Your most important thing, Bubble, right now is keep your peace of mind, like you said. And speak to God, speak to the divine. There's divine strategy flowing into you right now. So keep journaling, keep writing. Second, in your journal time, write down, what are all your gifts? What are all your skills? What have you been trained in as a soul on earth up until this very moment that you are gifted in? It's in your resume. Maybe it's something you got certified in or you're just good at. But you just have life experience even. Write it out. Look at it. Take a look at what has been the storyline here of your life significance. And then lastly, my last advice to anyone who's in that circumstance where you are struggling, you're in transition, homelessness, you don't know what's going to happen next, reach out to people you know, the good people, right? People who have good intentions for you, that you trust. Reach out to all of them. Say, hey, these are the things that I'm passionate about right now. Here's where I can help you. I can serve. These are the gifts and skills I have. Is there anything that I could do, or do you know any opportunities? Honestly, just applying for jobs, but reaching out to the people that you know, even if you haven't spoken to them in a long time. That is what community is for. And that's what I've been trying to highlight this week is wealth is your relationships. And the sooner we embrace that and we shed all the icky shame that we feel about what people think about us, and we get back to the root of it, which is we're here to help each other, the sooner that we'll break free of where we're at. And I've been in that circumstance as an entrepreneur where I quit my job or I'm in need of help. And I reach out to people who running businesses, and they're not rich people, but they have an opportunity for me or they know somebody. You know, always works out in the end. So I'm praying for you, Bubble, and just stay committed to the cleanse, the rebirth that's happening in your life right now, and allow the divine to work through you and trust. But please reach out to people that you know personally, yeah, and offer to help. Bye. I'm wondering if you're comfortable with leading the last of the discussion, and then Emmanuel, you go next. My last question to all of you tonight, and to whoever's listening later: how does your life purpose, the vision you've been receiving, that you've been in your own prayer and meditation time, how does it tie into this idea of a sustainable future? In a future that is sustainable because it is earth-centered, talking about earth consciousness. As Maxwell was saying, a type of work environment or work initiative that cares about the body, it cares about our minds, it cares about creating a family and community where we can actually be present and heal. So how does your life purpose tie into all of this at this time, this conversation about reimagining what wealth is in terms of earth consciousness, a more nurturing consciousness?
Now, are you asking me to
Yes,
speak
if you
on
don't.
that, or I
Sharing your
mean,
thoughts, or if you have a comment on what's been discussed so far, I just wanted to give you an
because
opportunity to
I
share.
kind of come in. I apologize. I came in a little late, so first of all, I say hotep to everyone. Uh, I just caught the tail end of everything. I know you was. I heard something about what does wealth look like. Am I correct? Is that? I mean, when I heard that, the first thing came to my mind, wealth. What it looks like to me is that true connection with the universal prime creator. That's wealth, and being in touch, with your org origin original Christ. I call it KRST because that's the that's the original spelling, KRST. Being in touch with your Christ self, and uh willing to speak the truth, because believe me, that's just speaking of Africans, that's what's gotten us in the biggest rut or hole that we're in. It's the inability, or the unwillingness to be truthful. Because I thought about you guys, I missed you last week, so I'm letting you know I came at the last minute and I couldn't remember the time, because here it's six something, and I didn't know. I got kind of mixed up, running a little late, and I thought about. I said, well, my timing was off, but I thought about y'all, and I wanted to share with y'all so bad, and it ties right in. Wealth, uh, truth. It seems like everyone, no matter what ethnic background or color, or where you come from, everybody's running from the truth. And last time I checked, truth basically is consciousness, and consciousness is God. And to me, that's wealth. And when you're unwilling to stand up for the truth, then you're running from God. And there's no way you could be wealthy from a spiritual perspective, because things first start in the spirit before they transition or translate over into the physical. And a lot of people don't understand that, man. And I was looking through some notes of mine, and I wanted to. I could be really brief because I already got the spots marked off. Man, look, there's a there's a wonderful doctor, elder of ours, Dr. Joy DeGruy. And the first thing I wrote down, this was what, 8/9/22. So this is back in 22. Truthfulness is the foundation of all human virtue. If we do not tell the truth, we cannot heal. We cannot fix what we do not understand. You're not, and if you're not willing to look squarely and deal with honest. Okay, the past is not and will never become the past until it is properly addressed, and that is truthfully and honest. Okay, thus it is it is the now and that which is to come. In other words, one will continuously live, or more so exist, dwell, and operate in the past, if they're not willing to be truthful. And then I kind of you know just going real rapidly through these notes. We have to expose the nature of the illness so that we can heal it. We can then heal it, or what have you. And then it says history has a bearing on us biologically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on who you are. And then I go on to say, healing is to basically encompass, I guess that's how I would pronounce it, uh, the diagnosis, understanding what it is, what it is that we are saying is broken. You know what I'm saying? We got to understand what it is that we're saying is broken, where it became broken, and how it was broken, and how then we must repair it, fix it, or heal it. And we haven't even begun to engage in the dialogue, for these things. Because I'm still time. That's where the wealth begin. Because you got people running around out here. I was telling my mother and a lady today. I heard a guy say something about just giving this as an example. You got a young girl that's molested by her uncle, and society has created this horrible term called snitch. So if she's been molested by her uncle, and she's been taught that if she says something, she's a snitch. So in other words, we have been taught just let people do whatever the hell they want to do to you. If you say something, you're a snitch. But y'all see how crazy this shit is. We are never going to reach any type of spiritual wealth. Period. Thinking like that. So in other words, even if you're wronged, you can't say nothing about it. These are not, that's not universal law. This stuff didn't come from the universal prime creator, and we're willing to give uh, every spiritual energy over to this stuff, and it is getting us nowhere but to the cemetery, the penitentiary, or out of our mind. You got three choices. Then you have another choice, and that's to do what we're doing right now, and that's the greatest choice because this is what reconnects or reignites that fire that you had from from your origin. And you know, it goes on. This here is deep. I was thinking about this, and I didn't realize that I had wrote this down, but I had been saying this stuff to myself, to another buddy of mine I hadn't talked that I haven't spoke to in a while. Man, what we're doing now is, the way we live, the way we exist and dwell is based off of not who I think I am or who you think I am, but who I think you think I am. That's deep, man. You know what I'm saying? We're not even living off of who we think we are. It ain't even about who you think I am. It's about who I think you think I am. We're never going to get anywhere like that. So basically, we just live and do what we do based off what we think somebody else think about us. And I'm moving right along, man. Dr. Wade Nobles. We African people suffer from a fractured identity and a shattered consciousness. So, if you don't know anything about your true identity, you it's you that's a fractured identity, and not knowing these things, man. Can you just picture what a shattered consciousness looks like, man? When you're unwilling, man, I don't care what it's supposed to be about. If you're unwilling to speak the truth and stand up from the truth, you are literally running from a consciousness. And you, like I said earlier, consciousness is God. So no matter how you look at it, if you're gonna side with the hood, with the ghetto, and like I said, I call it the sewer, and I told y'all why, because it's the last place that everything gets to. And y'all gotta catch what I'm saying. If it's the last place that everything gets to, that means everybody above the sewer top knows what's in the sewer and they understand how it got there. The only ones don't understand that is those that are in the sewer. So in our reality, it's almost like no one has to tell anyone what you're doing, because if you're in the sewer, that means everybody can see down in the sewer. Nobody has to tell anything. And I blame Tupac for that, man. Thug life, tatted up. He planted that seed, man, and these people are here believing that they have to live this existence. And it has never worked for anyone, bruh, and it will not work for it's never gonna work. It's the same thing with racism. It's insanity. You know what I mean? Dude, who comes up with these concepts? And it was something else I wanted to share. Uh, Something about struggle. Y'all were talking about struggle. Struggle is, and this is deep because this is coming from notes. This here is from April of 2023, and it ties in. I heard somebody talking about struggling. Struggle is not the life of a free person; it's the life of a slave and one obeying their master's orders. But it not like Bubba, what you're speaking of. I'm not saying you, but these people think that living foolishly, the struggle, that type of struggle is how it's supposed to be. No, that they created that, and then we fed it. So that's why we're going to remain unwealthy spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, physically, and again financially. But like I say, all this stuff starts, it starts in the spirit. And that's where your wealth come from. And I had some questions today, y'all. I was talking to the universal prime creator, and I'm like, look, they claim that you attract what you are, the law of attraction and all this stuff. Man, well, if that's the case, I'm 55 years old, and I can remember back to when I was 3. I cannot remember ever not being a spirit that wants to love everybody. I did not have to be taught that. You know what I'm saying? It's innate. It's innate. I came with it, and it's like I've 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 seen so many horrific things, been so traumatized, and for me to still remain that loving spirit, and then blame for everybody else's consequences. And it's like it that in a sense that kind of lets me know just how wealthy spiritually I am, because in order for me to have suffered the way I have by the hands of other people, and I still remain, and I'm still willing to come on here and share the little bit that I do know with you all, that lets me know right there that I'm already wealthy spiritually. And it's just a matter of time, because I'm a person that's precise. I got some plans, and I'm working on these things, and finances are coming. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna connect with y'all. I'm like I said, I'm gonna connect with you, Rayleigh. And if any of you gentlemen on here wanna connect, hey, put your number up there. We can call each other, and I'll do the same, because eventually we're being, I consider us one spirit. We're going to eventually have to connect and meet each other physically anyway, because the things that I'm talking about doing, once these finances come, oh, bro, I better take care of everybody. I'll be able to put everybody on. And I mean what I'm saying. I'll be able to help people relocate where we could be close. You know what I'm saying? And we could build solid foundations that can't be knocked down on doing this work. And like I said, connecting with Rayleigh, she already has the platform, so she definitely could teach me on how to get certain things started. But again, my look on wealth is basically, it starts spiritually. It starts in the spirit, and it's your connection with the universal prime creator first and foremost.
Thank you. Always an honor to have you speak in here. And as I share with all of you, I look forward to seeing you build your own platforms, and inviting me into those spaces. And yes, I coordinate events that will meet in person whenever you feel called to come on in. Hosting conferences, hosting workshops where I can lean on you all to come in and be facilitators. So we're building a spiritual community. We have this kind of podcast type vibe, and we're talking about things, but behind the scenes, we're doing things. We're creating businesses. You're creating frameworks behind the scenes, right? What are the soul lessons that you have not only survived, that you have thrived through, that's going to be an actual tools and strategies, products for other people that are going to sustain their lives, and more importantly, sustain Earth. So looking at the ways that whatever you're building right now, how is it more not only nourishing you, but everyone else that's going to touch in their lives? Not just physically, not just financially, emotionally, spiritually. Everyone in here is a spiritual guide. Everyone in here is a spiritual teacher. Everyone in here can be a successful business owner. And we're not alone in that. So I'm really grateful to be connected. Emmanuel put his number in there. And I pray you guys to get on the phone with each other. That would, if I hear you guys talk on the phone together until the next medicine garden, I will die of happiness. And we have the medicine garden WhatsApp group. Just email me and we'll get you guys connected to other people who've previously been in the chat.
Let me see.
But
I'm trying to.
It's 8
I'm
o'clock.
trying. How do I see his number?
It's in the chat. I'm gonna end the live and then I can read it to you guys. So I just want to thank you guys again for being here. Maxwell, Manuel, Abai, Damien. Peace and blessings to you in the next week. Continue to build, continue to sustain the vision. And it's going to fruit. It's going to come to pass this year, 2025. You're going to see.
Yeah.
You're going to receive from the vision. Okay, I'm going to end the live. I'll hopefully see you guys next week, and we welcome you into the Medicine Garden, whoever's watching. Peace and love.